for me to help. Or sometimes you'll have people that simply don't want the truth. You'll tell them the truth in 50 different ways and they just simply don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. We can't help them. You cannot help a person that doesn't want to help themselves. So here the Rambam is telling us something extraordinary. He says you have to know that there are a lot of people in the world, but not everyone is the same. That not everyone is the same. Every item exists, that every item that exists has a purpose for which it came into existence. And clearly, of course, this applies to man-made products. Before a blacksmith forges a saw, he has an idea of how it will be used, and consequently, how it should be shaped. Obviously, the saw's purpose is to cut wood. The same is true for all man-made objects. However, in regards to the products of the divine craftsmanship, the reasons are not always evident. The purpose of some fruits, herbs, metals, stones, and animals may be ascertained with little reflection, of others with much reflection. And still others may resist identification except through prophetic revelation or the like. There was one man who knew as many of these purposes as humanly possible, and his name was King Solomon. And his knowledge of these matters is described in the book of Kings 1, chapter 5, verse 13. So here, the Rambam first gives us a little bit of a preface, a little bit of a clarity that don't ever think for a second that there's anything in the world that doesn't have a purpose. But although it is relatively possible and even easy at sometimes to identify the reasoning behind things of this world, when it comes to things of the divine, of the Torah, of the spirituality, you're not necessarily always going to understand the reasons behind everything. Well, skipping a little bit is considering that every item's purpose is to somehow serve man, we are duty-bound to ask, what is man's purpose? This question may be resolved by examining man's abilities. Various creatures have particular talents. A spider has the capacity to weave a web, an ant can store food. Man has numerous and varied capacities. But the one that distinguishes him from all of the other living beings is his faculty for reason. It is only in the development of his mind that a man can realize his potential. All his other functions merely assist in assuring his survival, so that he will have the opportunity to perceive truth and discern wisdom. And the greatest of all truths and the pillar of all wisdoms is the knowledge of God, his oneness, and all fields of iniquity related to this. The purpose of other branches of knowledge is solely to prepare one to approach the study of the divine. Thus, man's chief function is to comprehend godliness. However, this is not sufficient. True scholarship demands the perfection of one's deeds. One's behavior must match one's insights. Godliness is unrecognizable in someone chasing after his lusts, abandoned his own sensuality. Only man who unites theory with practice has achieved the ideal. So here he's in essence saying the same thing that the Chazon Ish has been teaching us, which is that it's not just enough to learn the halacha, the laws themselves and so on, but you actually have to perfect your character traits. Because only the combination of the two would make a person godly, would make a person holy, would make a person something above the animal, if you will. Now, then he says that